Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pizza and Real Estate Podcast. My name is Philip Simonetta, broker owner of Pier 21 Realty and the Florida Real Estate School by Pier 21 Realty. Also the owner of Simonetta's Brick Oven Pizza. As I said, welcome back. Tonight, we're going to have a pretty serious show. There's a lot going on in the real estate industry right now. Good, bad, indifferent. There's a lot going on. The industry is under attack. And there's so many different people and so many different ways that they're trying to find solutions to these attacks, which is just distorting it more. Buyers and sellers, they're struggling. I'm talking to them every day, and I have a few examples that we're going to share. The agents and brokers, they're lost and confused more than they ever been. I mean, they've been lost and confused for a while. But, the bad part about this industry is there's a lot of people that are in it that shouldn't be. And a lot of those problems have caused us the issues we have today. And I'm going to talk to you about the NAR lawsuit, the rules going into effect. Some MLSs are in effect. Some are going into effect in the next days. I'm going to talk to you about sellers and how they're struggling and what's going on with the market. I'm going to talk to you about buyers, the struggles they're having, and what's going on with the new rules and agreements that they need to be partaking in. And then I'm going to talk about agents, and I'm going to talk about brokers. And a lot of people aren't going to like what I'm going to say. A lot of people are going to like what I'm going to say. But me, everybody in my life, they either love me or hate me. No one will ever tell you, he's okay. They're either going to get what I'm saying or they're not. And I'm okay either way. So I want to open the show up tonight with what's going on. The industry of real estate has always been like the wild, wild west. Buyers, agents are out there running around, showing up to showings in flip-flops and shorts. You see them on Zillow, you call them, you want to go see a property. They meet you at the property. You have no idea who you are. There's no regulation in certain areas. There's laws and there's rules that are in place by the Real Estate Commission that are ignored and not followed, not really enforced because no one puts in complaints. And I'm going to give you a scenario with that I'm working with as we speak tonight on that. So I want to start off with buyers agents. Okay. Buyers agents, it's a tough side of the business. You're working with a client, you're showing them homes, multiple homes. They don't like any of them. You show them more. They finally like one. You get a house under contract. 7-day inspection. You get in there. There's some problems with the roof. Needs an air conditioning system. Seller doesn't want to fix it. Buyer doesn't do it. They cancel the contract. Move on. You show them some more houses. Then maybe you get a deal together 6 months later. You're finally compensated for all your work. It's a struggle. There's a lot of things buyer agents do. There's a fiduciary that the buyer's agents owe the client. Then you have listing agents. Listing agents, list the properties, market the properties, get them out there, attract the buyer and the buyer agents through the MLS. And up until now, there was compensation for the buyer's agent from the listing broker, where the listing broker would negotiate compensation and they would give a part of that compensation to the buyer's agent. But all that's over now. The NAR settlement, the lawsuit, the antitrust lawsuit that they settled, in which I believe they should have fought. There should have been no settlement, but they threw all the agents under the bus. And basically, the buyer's agents now have to negotiate their compensations. They have to have a buyer's agreement prior to showing property, or it's a violation of the settlement. And what does that mean? It's a violation of the settlement. A lot of people don't know this. A violation of the settlement means you can be banned from the MLS. Your broker and you can be fined. Your broker can be banned from the MLS, which means it puts them out of business. There's fines up to $15,000. But what really hurts is you're removed from the lawsuit, from the settlement. And it opens you up criminally to the DOJ to come file charges on you and your broker. And it opens you up civilly for the lawyers to come and sue you just like they sued NAR. Now, what else is happening? There's brokers suing NAR. It just happened a couple days ago for antitrust, where they're forcing you to be a member of NAR to be in the MLS. So I'm in 3 MLSs. I pay thousands of dollars a year. I'm in Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee. Here in Florida, I'm in 3 MLSs. And the craziest thing is these rules they're putting in place, each MLS has different rules that they're enforcing. So the MLS down in Fort Lauderdale has different rules than the one in Orlando. The one in Orlando has different rules than the one in Jacksonville. So now I have agents in different areas that have to follow different rules for different areas, and I have to keep track of that because I'm liable. And then the MLSs are enforcing it through them because that was forced upon them through the settlement. So NAR washed their hands, puts it on the MLSs that are not qualified to enforce it, I believe. I've been to meetings, I've been on town halls. I don't think they're qualified to enforce them. And our futures, our licenses, our business is all put on the line by a settlement that's pretty much unfair, that we have to be part of or else. So what does it mean for buyers? Now, one thing I want to let you guys know, we have live call-ins. If you look in the comments, there's a link you can click and you can come in live. If anybody wants to come in and have a conversation and ask questions. Because I'm dealing with so many questions from buyers and sellers, going back on files I'm working on, putting addendums in place, changing agreements, just to be compliant so I'm not in violation of any of these rules. Because my license, my business, I have a real estate school that we're licensed by the Florida Real Estate Commission to teach and certify students who want to get the real estate license and become agents, and also to teach agents to become brokers. We have 31 courses. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. I also have the brokerage, which is licensed in Florida, North Carolina, and Tennessee. I've been doing this since I was 19 years old. I buy, I sell, I develop. I've done it all. Everything you could think of, I've done. And I've never been in more of a challenging time of how to handle this with my agents. I let a bunch of my agents go because I wasn't confident that they could adhere to the rules, and I can't risk my business or my licenses to anybody's ignorance. It's going to hurt the industry. However, a lot of agents are going to leave the industry that should have never been in it. And I'm going to talk more about that as well. And most agents aren't going to like it, but I don't care. Okay. So let's talk about how this is affecting the buyers. So if you want to buy a piece of real estate, a residential, this is only residential property, 1 to 4 units is what this is adhering to as of now, right? So if you want to buy a piece of real estate, you could have looked on Zillow, you could have looked on Redfin or any of these sites, found a home, contact an agent, and go and see the home. Now, some states you would have had to have a buyer's agreement. Florida is not one of them. Tennessee is not one of them. North Carolina was one of them. So I deal with it already. In North Carolina, this was already in place for the buyer's agreement, not for the compensation. And we're going to talk the difference. So now part of the NAR rule is you need to have a buyer's agreement in place prior to showing a property physically or showing the property virtually. So even if somebody calls you from out of town and wants to go see a property, you must have an agreement in place. Now, what does that mean? Your compensation has to be on the agreement. One thing you have to remember, commissions are always negotiable. Commissions are never fixed. That's illegal. You can have a commission amount as a percentage. You can have a fixed fee, or you can work for an hourly rate on the buyer's agreement. But it has to be negotiated and placed on the agreement prior to looking at a home. Now, what does that mean? Let's say I'm going to get 3 bananas for finding a property for you. So you're going to pay me 3 bananas for finding that property. Now, the buyer can pay me to 3 bananas. As of now, the seller can pay me 3 bananas outside of the MLS, and I'm going to talk about that. Or the seller can give concessions to the buyer for their closing costs and prepaids. Okay. So the second one I talked about, as of now, if the seller can pay the commission to the broker that's listing it, and the broker can still pay the buyer's agent outside of the MLS. The problem with that is the DOJ has a letter of interest in right now. They don't want that. Does anybody know anyone who beats the DOJ? I don't think so. So the DOJ is saying they don't want the seller compensating the buyer's broker for any reason on earth, because they're considering that antitrust after 150 years of it being done. So they're considering that antitrust. Okay. So brokers still, the state of Florida has a form where the listing broker, when they're doing a listing, they can have it in there where they're going to compensate the buyer broker outside of the MLS. Okay, that's one solution. That solution isn't going to be around long, I don't think, because they're going to come back and do it again. So what are the other solutions? My brokerage, I'll go over my policies with you. None of that's happening. My brokerage policy is we are no longer, as a brokerage, accepting compensation from a listing agent if we're representing buyers, and we're no longer accepting compensation or giving compensation to a buyer broker as a seller, as a listing broker. Okay. There are solutions to this. That means the seller, number one solution is the seller can pay the buyer broker directly, or the seller can give the concessions towards the buyer's closing costs and prepaids, in which the buyer will pay the commission to their agent that they agree to. And in the contract, you negotiate concessions for the closing costs. In addition, less or more than that. So let's say a buyer wants to buy a house. We put an offer in on the house. In the contract, we ask for 3 bananas. The seller says, okay, I'll give you 3 bananas. And then the buyer can go ahead and receive the 3 bananas from the seller and pass them along into their closing costs and prepaids. Okay. Now, what if we say we want 3 bananas and the seller says, no, I'm giving you 2 bananas. The buyer can take the 2 bananas towards their closing costs and prepaids and pay an additional banana to pay the 3 bananas. Or you can put in the contract that the buyer and seller don't agree, right? Let's say the seller says, no, I'm not paying anything. The buyer can go ahead and buy the property, just pay an additional 3 bananas on top of their closing costs. That's what the options are. So that's what the buyers are up against. Now think about this. If you want to buy a home that's $350,000 your closing costs are about $25,000. That's your 5% down, your appraisal, your inspection, all your taxes, impound accounts, escrow accounts, your title fees, your title insurance, your insurance policy for the home, your lender fees, any points or anything you're paying to put down, 25,000. And now if you're going to pay an additional fee to an agent, which could be $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, that means the buyer's going to have to go ahead and put that additional amount down on top of the closing costs. If the seller says, I'm not going to give you any concessions, which quite possibly will happen. So how does this help the buyer? It doesn't. It makes it harder for a buyer to buy a property. Okay. Now let's talk about the seller. How does this affect the seller? When you're listing a property, a seller negotiates the selling commission with the listing agent. So the listing agent says, I'm going to sell your house for 1 banana, 2 bananas, 3 bananas, 4 bananas, 5 bananas, 6 bananas. Formerly, you would say, okay, and then we're going to offer a buyer broker so many bananas. The problem is you're no longer allowed to do that, right? We just talked about that. So the listing agent is going to go in and say, okay, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, I'm going to charge you so many bananas. We're no longer going to pay a buyer broker. However, you have the option to pay the buyer broker. Would you like to compensate the buyer broker directly? Would you like to compensate the buyer broker technically through me, which I'm not allowing? So that's not an option for me because I'm not getting involved in that because the DOJ is going to come back and the DOJ can't be beat. Or would you offer concessions? Yes or no? It's going to be on the listing agreement now. And it also has to be stated that all commissions are negotiable. There's statements that must be on there on the new listing agreements. So now the sellers not necessarily going to be charged less money. They still may pay the same money. They just may pay it through concessions or pay it through directly to the buyer broker, which can be done through a contract, okay, at the time of contract. So that's what the sellers are up against. The buyers I'm talking to have no idea what's going on. No idea at all. I speak to a buyer and I asked them, are you familiar with the NAR settlement? The new buyer contracts before we can see a property. They have no idea. So what I do is I explain the whole process to them and I show them a town hall video that came directly from the MLSs explaining the rules. So that explains the compensation and the buyer broker agreement. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. I'm not sure how this is going to shake out because I'm already seeing agents breaking the rules, showing properties. They're going to possibly be opening themselves up to criminal charges and civil penalties and losing a real estate license. Agents have to wake up. They have to take responsibility. This is a professional business. There's contracts involved. There's fiduciary duty involved. You can't just fly by the seat of your pants. I'm going to give you an example. I just placed an offer on a property in Miami for a client. I sent the offer in, a full offer, contract, addendums, approvals. They have an approval and they have a large amount of money being granted to them through a city program. The agent responds to me for proof of funds in addition to the offer for the funds. In the contract, it states that it's coming from the fund. The funds are coming from the program. And I put the copy of all the information in the contract. So obviously the agent doesn't know what they're doing. I looked up the agent. They've done about 60 rentals in their career. Never sold a house. It's the first one. So I email the agent exactly what I just said. Then they tell me send the best offer over, trying to get me to raise the offer. I said, you got the best offer. Then I send over an email saying, let us know by Friday. Also, here's the lender's information. You can call the lender directly. They'll give you all and tell you all the information about the program in case they don't want to believe me and the written proof I sent them. Then I said, let us know by Friday. She goes, oh, I'll let you know tonight. Well, tonight was last night. I emailed them at 8:26 asking, hey, I thought you were going to get us a response. What's going on? I still haven't heard from them. It's almost, 8:30 tonight? I still haven't heard from them. I left the voicemail too. That's the agents we deal with in this business. I have properties listed. I receive offers on them. The contract isn't completed. Boxes aren't checked. Information is left blank. One didn't have a closing date on it. I have to go back to the agent and teach them how to fill out a contract. It's sickening. And I'm sick and tired of it. I own a real estate school. I teach people this business. My students have a 97% pass rate on their first test. The state has a 47% pass rate. It's sickening. These people need to be professional. They need to do their job. They have a fiduciary duty to present that offer, not question it, not try to get it raised, to present it. These people should lose their licenses. They should be out of business. They don't answer their calls. They don't respond. Sick and tired of it. It's sickening. That's just two examples. I can give you 1,000 more. They're just the two I dealt with in the last 2 days. So what do? I know there's agents out there that want to be decent agents, but they don't get trained. They don't know what to do. They fail forward. I know there's agents out there that are disgusted. They shouldn't be in the business. And believe me, in about 6 months, they won't be because of what's going on here. They're going to be sued. They're going to be put out of business. I guarantee it. So that's what's going on. The buyers and sellers are struggling. Now, not only with that going on, we now have a market that has shifted so hard. Houses aren't selling. Buyers aren't buying. Rates are high. People can't afford it. Their debt ratios are out of whack. Rates the prices don't make sense. People are still trying to sell properties that aren't worth the money they're trying to sell them for. They need a lot of work. And, it's kind of crazy. And what I want to do is I don't want to lose anybody. I want to pivot from this, and I want to get into some of the market stats and what's going on. And then I want to talk more about how agents, have to straighten up. Their brokers have to straighten up. I went to a lunch at an MLS, and they said that over 50% of the brokers in the MLS have not done the training for this about this settlement. They don't even know there's new forms. What does that mean? If the brokers don't know, how can their agents know? If 50% of the brokers haven't trained, who has? Like how's their agents know? I just don't get it. I don't get it. So what I want to do really quick, I'm going to pivot from this topic, and I hope you guys understand. If anybody has any questions, please either put them in the chat or come in live, talk to me, ask me what they are. So I have a message here. Let me see here. We pulled our home off the market after trying to sell it with 3 different realtors over the past year. We're going to try one last time. We see if the Fed cuts the rates next month. The problem with that is I don't think the Fed, unless they cut it a point or more, is going to do anything. A half a point cut, it's not going to do anything. Quarter point's not going to do anything. The problem we have is much bigger than half a point is to tantalize for the election. That's all they're doing. They're pandering. If you don't see rates come down a point, 2 points, you don't have anything. And if it does, you're going to have crazy hyperinflation. It's gonna have a negative effect. Bringing the rate down is going to put more houses on the market because people are going to get out of them because it's not worth keeping. They want to get the money out. So a lot of people that are holding on because they have a 3-4% mortgage, if rates come down to 5-6, they're going to sell. That's going to flood the market. It's going to bring the prices down. It's not going to put them up. I don't care what anybody says. That's a fact. That's just the way it's going to be. Mark those words. What you're seeing right now in the market, I called it 2 years ago. It should have happened a year ago, but the smoke and mirrors and the Fed and all the scumbags in the government, both parties, they keep covering everything up and they keep dragging it out. After the election, it's going to be chaos. Okay, so what I want to do quick, I want to share my screen here with you guys. I want to present some things here. Let me pull this up here. Share my screen. I want to do the entire screen. Okay. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here with you guys. And what I want to do is, let me see. There we go. One of the things I do when I'm working with clients, okay, is as an agent, as a broker, you have to show a client you know what you're talking about. And this happened to me earlier today. I had a Zoom appointment. What I do with my clients is I initially have a conversation with them, and then I have a Zoom call with them. And the first 15 minutes of my call is a background of who I am, what I do, what my results are that I deliver for people, because you can talk all the shit in the world you want, but if you don't deliver results, it doesn't mean a thing, right? Results is all that matters, right? In real estate, we're compensated on results, not how many listings we have or how many houses we're showing. If you can't close a deal, you don't get compensated. Okay, compensation is the key, right? That's why we're in business. But more important than compensation is the relationship with the buyers, relationship with the sellers, how you work with them, what you do for them. Okay, that's what it comes down to. Agents have to understand that. So the first thing I do, I'm going to give you a little presentation here. And I'm going to show you how I talk to people and what I explain to them. So I bring them in and I say, hey, first of all, I own a real estate school. We're licensed by the Real Estate Commission, and we certify the public to become real estate agents. We also certify real estate agents to become brokers after they're qualified. And I show them the page. Okay. We're also a live scan fingerprinting provider. So we do the fingerprinting needed for your licensing, connected with the FBI and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. We have a notary service and a tax preparation office, all in-house at the brokerage. Okay, we offer the 63-hour class on Zoom, also the 72-hour broker course quarterly. We do our classes monthly. We also offer online self-paced courses. We do the 63, the 72, all the post-education for 63 and 72 for broker and sales associate. Exam prep courses. We have the 20-hour reactivation course for people who don't renew their licenses on time. We do the 14-hour post-education and career development courses. And we also teach the ethics and the core law courses that are required by the MLS and the state of Florida. In addition, there's an article here in a newspaper about us, our brokerage, and our school. My son Aiden and I are both brokers and instructors. I'm the broker owner and instructor, and Aiden is a broker associate and instructor. This talks all about us. Now, below this, we have our reviews. These are our Google reviews. These are from students. These are from clients, sellers, and buyers, title companies, people we deal with. Okay? So when you come in here, our reviews are all here. Client reviews that are very long drawn out reviews for what we've done for people. How we help people buy houses when they think they couldn't. How we help people sell houses when we think we couldn't. How we help people get their real estate license. Okay? There's a client here. She had her house on the market with 2 agents prior. Okay? Didn't sell. I listed her property. She had a VA mortgage that had a 2.99% assumable mortgage. The two agents before me didn't know it was assumable. Now, I don't know how. I teach it in my class every month, and it's a question on your exam. They must have not got that one. I put this house on the market. 26 days, I had 17 phone calls. No, I'm sorry. It was 26 phone calls in 2 weeks. I'm sorry. I spoke wrong. I had the house under contract representing the buyer, who was a VA approved buyer, who took the loan over at 2.99%. Saved himself $1,104 a month, which turned out to be $255,000 over the life of the loan. If he would have bought that same house with a rate of 6.875 at that time, he would have paid $255,000 more for the house. Here's her review. You guys can all go pier21realty.school or .com. The reviews are all here. You can read her review. Here's the gentleman who bought the house. The gentleman who bought the house from her is right here. He wrote his review right here. Right? So you can see that. See, these are the relationships you build with people. Okay? You help people get to the result they want. You don't worry about the compensation because you'll be paid because you have a contract. Okay? And you can come through here and look at all these. And this is what I tell clients. This is who we are. This is what we do. Then I say, okay, over here is what we do for our sellers. Okay? We come over here and I share with them our selling process and what we do for them. And I explain to them, most agents, they put your house on the MLS, they put a sign in the yard, they pray somebody comes and buys it. Okay, one of the things we do at Pier 21 Realty, my brokerage, on this page, you can see a little interview about us. And, we have 3 different MLSs we advertise in. We put the property in all 3. We have about 90% reach to the MLSs in Florida, all the agents. We market the properties internationally in 140 countries in 18 different languages. And we also perform reverse searches. That means we take all the searches in the MLSs for searches that are out there for buyers, and we track them down and we send the listings to all the people who have active searches within the last 90 days. We're in top 5% of all real estate transactions nationwide. Again, we have the brokerage, we educate, we're licensed in Florida, North Carolina, and Tennessee. I have client testimonials here talking about what we've done for them. I have videos here from YouTube. This one has over 700,000 views. This one has over 500,000 views. This one has 81,000 views. It was a live we did talking about the market, what's going on, transparency, how you got to work for results. When I talk to my sellers and when my agents talk to the sellers, this is what we talk about. Then we set up a Zoom consultation where we go into their property, we pull reports, we get them all the information they need, and we make an educated decision if it's something we should move forward and work together, or part as friends and they know we're there if they need help. Because we're result driven, we have a system. We don't just list a property and hope and pray to God somebody comes and buys it. We don't do that. We give people a fair chance. The last 10 years, a monkey could have listed a property and sold it. Literally. It's not that way anymore, guys. Things have changed so much, and you have to be able to get in front of people and bring the buyers. Buyers are out there. There's always going to be buyers. There's always going to be sellers. People need to move. People need to do things. I have buyers I'm working with that are moving from Chicago because their job transferred and they got to buy a house in Florida. I have other people leaving parts of the country because of political reasons and they want some freedom, right? There's always going to be people. People pass away. There's inheritances. People want to sell. There's investors who are sick and tired of their investment being squeezed by taxes and insurance and costs and management fees that want to get their money and get out. There's other investors who need to buy because they have a 1031 exchange and they need to spend their money within a time frame, or they're going to pay a 15% capital gains tax. And if If some politicians have their way, it might be 30 or 40, you know? So some politicians want to get rid of the 1031 exchange. Imagine that, huh? I don't know how they're going to do it because all their people who vote for them use it. So we'll see about that one. But the bottom line is there's always a buyer, there's always a seller. The key is, are you going to find them and are you going to be part of that transaction? That's the key. Now, some of the things I want to get away from this here. This is how you work with people. This is how you explain things to people. You show them your results. Who are you, what you do, why you're ranked where you are, and why you get results done. And these things show the client this, and it provides value. I had 2 calls today from agents that saw a video I was on last night. I was on a video last night for less than 5 minutes. Real quick call. I went in just to answer a question. And 2 people called me today saying, how do I fire an agent and hire another broker? And I said, listen, you're listed with an agent. I can't really advise you. It's unethical. I said, the bottom line is I can't solicit you. I can't call you. You called me. And I explained to them the process of how that happens. And if they want to take it upon themselves, they can. But one person had an agent that listed the house, wanted to charge them $2,000 to cancel the listing, and she hasn't heard from them. They disappeared. I looked up the agent in my own time, and I saw the agent worked on the buyer side of deals, never sold the property on the listing side. And I'm just like, just looked at it. And I didn't say anything to the client because I can't. I just smiled to myself, And the other client has a friend that listed the house for them. And they're just not happy. And it's a tough situation because it's a friend and they don't want to burn a relationship. But sometimes, friends aren't friends, or your mom's uncle or your mom's best friend or somebody at the bank that has a real estate license that maybe did one deal in their life, or someone dancing around on TikTok in pink shoes, getting 2 million views and making money on TikTok, talking about real estate because they're regurgitating stuff people are saying, but they're bouncy and bubbly in pink shoes, and somebody trusts them to sell their house, and they look them up and they show they closed 3 deals in their whole life. When you're hiring an agent, you need to research. You need to see what their reputation is. Are they a broker or are they an agent? Me, I would never deal with anybody that's not a broker. And I don't care if you're an agent. I don't care if you don't like it. Okay. A broker has more responsibility. A broker has more fiduciary, responsibility completely because of the experience and because of the license. An agent, comes in. If that broker doesn't train them correctly, they're nowhere. Buyer's agents, they say, oh, it's so important to have a buyer's agent. They got to represent you, protect you, negotiate for you. Half of them can't negotiate a piece of bubble gum. Ask them, do you own real estate? Most of them don't even own real estate. Now, I'm not saying owning real estate is a requirement to being able to sell it. But if they don't own it, how can they give you advice on renting it, buying it, selling it? The first thing you should do when you're buying a property is figure out the full cost of the property and then look at the rent roll. And if God forbid, if you lost your job and couldn't pay the mortgage, would you be able to rent the house out so it can cover the mortgage? In most cases, the prices and where people are today, they can't. They're anywhere from 500 to 1,500 upside down from what they're doing, buying to renting. And I don't care where you are. I've checked Jacksonville, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Naples, Tampa. You're out of whack anywhere from $500 to $1,500 a month. So when you buy a house, you got to make sure, am I buying it and paying more than I could rent it for? Rule number 1. If you are, don't buy it. I don't care what the agent says. Agents, most of them have no idea, and most of them just want to close that deal. right? That's my take on it. Being in this business for 25 years. When we bring agents in, I train them. I train my agents as listing agents. We handle buyers when we do, but 90% of our business is listing the property and finding the buyer to buy the property we listed. We don't pray to God that somebody comes and finds it. We actively search for buyers. We actively look for them. And that's it. That's what we do. Currently we have, I think I have like nine current listings we just took in. I have 3 more going in. I have 2 I have to put in tonight. After we're done here, I just got the photos back. We're going tomorrow to take photos for some more. I have a class starting September 2nd for new agents. What we're doing is we're just taking the listings and then we market them internationally and we're looking for the buyers. The buyers are coming from out of state, other countries, out of state. The buyers in the state have slowed up tremendously. If it wasn't for the out-of-state buyers who were selling out of state, bringing cash and moving to Florida, we'd be in big trouble. Bottom line. And I'm going to show you some numbers now. The numbers I want to show you are the real live numbers in the MLS, stellar. Okay, this is the largest region MLS in real estate here in the Florida. It's not the largest members, but it's the largest area covered. Okay, this goes from Daytona Beach over to Tampa on the West Coast, down to Cape Coral, over to St. Lucie County. It's the square part of the center of Florida. Okay. Now, this is the last 7 days. What's going on? Okay. New listings in the last 7 days. 10,636 new listings went on the market in 7 days. Okay, price increases, that's usually developers and builders. They raise the prices when they put them on the market. Now, what's mind-blowing is price decreases. Okay, so 10,000 properties went on, 10.6. 14,268 dropped their prices in 7 days. 7 days, man. Back on the market. These are contracts that were these were pending contracts that fell apart and they came back on the market. So you can take these 10.6 and add them to it. Okay. So 2,536 deals in 7 days fell apart. That means the contract went bad. The buyer backed out because of something with the inspection. The mortgage fell through. Something went bad on 2,500 deals. Okay, that's 25% of the new listings. 5,900 sold, but half of them fell apart. You see, like a percentage-wise, right? Now let's look at expired, temporary off the market, withdrawn, and canceled. So canceled are people that just gave up. They said, you're not doing your job. I don't want you selling my house anymore. 2,000 people in the last 7 days. 2 of them called me today. Withdrawn means they just took it off the market. They still have a contract with the broker, but it's withdrawn. That's 3,000 right there. Temporary off the market just paused it. They said, hold on a second. Something's weird. We don't want to sell right now. Okay. Expires 1,163. So these here, these 3,000 and the 4,100, another 1,100, 4,100 and an 800 here, 5,000. There's a good chance these are going to go back on the market. So that number is really 16,000, right? In 7 days, guys. So for the amount closing 5, you got one for every 3 is closing. Or it's insanity. And one for every 4 is falling apart and going back on the market. Numbers don't lie. People do. These numbers don't lie. So what am I doing? I have 6 single-family homes that were built in 2018 for an investor, 2 investors. They own 3 homes, and the other investor owns 3 homes. They're next door to each other. 2 are in Jacksonville, 2 are in Zephyr Hills, and 2 are in New Smyrna Beach. So how do we sell these properties? There's tenants in them, right? The way you sell these properties is you package them up and you shop them to a 1031 exchange buyer who needs to reinvest their money in an investment property, like kind exchange, that needs to buy property in the next 30, 45 days. Because if they don't, they have to pay capital gains and the 1031 exchange fails. So there's always a buyer. I'm packaging these up. I'm putting the listings, the last 2 in. I'm packaging these up and I'm going to go present them to the 1031 exchange buyers. One might buy 2, one might buy them all, 2 might buy all of them, split them. They're next door to each other. It's a nice situation for somebody who wants to buy them. The sellers want to get out of them, take their equity and move on. See, there's always a seller that wants to do something, but there's always a buyer that wants to buy that. That's free commerce, right? That's the way capitalism, free commerce works. Right? So that's how you sell property. You don't just put it on the MLS, put a sign in the yard, and pray to God somebody comes and buys it. Because that's what's happening. They did that for the last 10 years. And God answered them in the last 10 years because 10 offers came in because the market was hot. It's not happening anymore, man. You have to, if you have a VA loan or an assumable mortgage, FHA, you have to market that. A VA loan can go to a VA buyer. They can take it over at 2, 3, 4%. I don't care if the rates are 10%. I don't care if whatever the situation is. If somebody can buy a house and assume a mortgage, put some money down and take over a mortgage and save hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest, they're going to buy that house even if they don't love it. They're going to learn to love it. It's like an arranged marriage with an ugly spouse. You'll learn to love it, right? Happens. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to come in. You can join us. The link is in the chat. If you click it, it'll bring you in, and Vic can bring you in live. We can talk. Or if you have a question, you can just drop it in the chat there, and I can answer them for you. But this is the situation. Real estate deals are going to close no matter what. The market could be good. The market could be bad. There's still people selling. There's still people buying. As a broker and an agent, you need to get involved in those transactions. How do you do that? You deliver results. Results are the key. Looking pretty, dancing around, TikTok, pink shoes, it's not going to work. Those days are gone. And I believe 50% of the agents will be out of business by the end of the year. I know buyer's agents who did tremendously well in the last 10 years. They don't know what to do. These buyer broker agreements, they got to negotiate their compensation. They don't know what to do. The free ride is over, man. It's over. And that's what it comes down to. And agents, you have to smarten up. You got to be professional. You got to get the right training. You got to work with the right broker. Brokers in the past, brokers have been catering to the agents, and the agents been dealing with the clients. The brokers don't even know the clients. It's time that the brokers get back in the business, work with the clients, teach the agents how to be an agent. The free ride is over. The problem is most of the brokers don't know what they're doing. Half of them haven't even been trained on this, what's happening. At the end of the day, I got to be honest. I'm kind of happy it's happening because I want them out of the business. I don't want to deal with them. I'm sick and tired of incompetent people. I'm sick and tired of people that don't know what they're doing and think they do. I'm sick and tired of people that don't represent their clients properly, not presenting offers. It's like a freak show, man. It's just like everything else though in the world. Our politics are crazy. There's no logic. There's so much crap going on. Reality has to come back, and it's here. And it's going to hit these people really hard in this business. And one of the things I think they're doing with this whole thing is they're trying to consolidate it. They're trying to destroy the business. They're trying to get the people out of the business that can't that can't pivot. The big brokers are trying to Carvana the real estate business. That means like they're trying to bring the listings into the brokers, because right now the brokers, give a majority of the commission to the agents. Let's say there's an 80-20 split. Brokers gets 20, agents get 80. Let's say it's a $20,000 commission. The broker gets 4,000, the agent gets 16,000, right? But if they can eliminate the agents and the brokers can put all their listings up, and when somebody wants to see them, they click the listing, they show the property, they send an agent who's now salaried, getting a salary and a little bit of a commission bonus to show the property and do the paperwork, and then the brokerage keeps the whole 20,000, and they're only giving that agent a salary per year. I think they're Carvana, like they're trying to Carvana the business. And it's interesting to see. And then you have the lawsuits. There's going to be more lawsuits. There's a buyer's lawsuit going on right now, in addition to the seller one that's just settling. That didn't settle yet. That's going on. There's now a lawsuit that agents and brokers are suing NAR in addition for antitrust, forcing brokers to be members of NAR just to have access to the MLS you're looking at on the screen, that I had on the screen here. So this is what we're up against. This is all the stuff that's out there. So you may ask, Phil, what are you doing, right? Phil, how are you handling this? As a school, as a brokerage, I dot the I's, I cross the T's. I have systems for everything I do. That's why I'm successful. There's a reason I'm top 5% in transaction with a small brokerage. I mean, there's brokerages with thousands of agents. I do more business than them. Why? Because I have systems. I run it as a business, and I deliver results and value. I don't dance around in pink shoes, right? I'm here to deliver value and bring value to the business and competency, and expertise, and how to make things happen, and how to get deals done, how to negotiate, how to get people to want to sell your house more than you want to buy it, or how to get people to buy your house more than you want to sell it, how to get the most money, how to advertise to somebody over in Europe who wants to buy a multi-million-dollar home here and move here, when other agents, they'll take a listing and put it in they'll print flyers up and they'll put it in a magazine. They're not putting it in front of the people who want it. You got to find that buyer. It's like hunting. It's like a hunting expedition to find the buyer for that house. So what do? I have policies in place. Okay, my brokerage, unless I meet with the buyer for my agents and I review the buyer agreement and sign off on it, they're not allowed to deal with a buyer. So when they have a buyer, they must set up a Zoom call with me and the buyer. I explain the process and how my brokerage works. I go over everything. I have them agree to it. We sign our agreement. I give the agreement copy back to the agent, and they take them to go look at houses. That's the only way. Other brokers say, "Oh, I'm crazy. What are you, nuts? How are you going to do that?" Well, you know what? Call me crazy, call me nuts. I'll be in business, and I'll be closing a lot of deals. Then I'm no longer paying buyer brokers through my brokerage. Even though I'm allowed to, I'm no longer doing it. I'm no longer receiving those payments from listing brokers as a buyer broker. My fees will be in concessions and negotiations. Or my buyer will pay me for my services. That's it. If not, hey, find a broker. Good luck. If you don't think I'm worth it, I'm okay with that. My goal for my business and my business goals and operation is to list property for people who want to sell it and find the buyer for that property who will pay the most money for it. That's my mission. That's my goal. When I have a seller who wants to buy a property that I'm selling their property, my goals change. I will beat that deal like a dead horse, man. I will find that property and I will get every dollar I can off of it for my buyer, because that's who I am. That's what I do. Whatever shoe I have on, it's worth having on, and I'm well worth the money that I charge. I promise that. I can't speak for other agents. Other agents, I had somebody that wanted me to represent them as a buyer, and I just don't have the time to give them what they needed, because some buyers need more than others, right? And I told them, I said, look, I can't do it. Here's the reason. Here's the rules. I don't have the time. There's only so many hours in a day. They asked me, do you have another agent you refer, another company you refer? I told them no, because I don't trust them. I don't care. Like, I don't trust them. I don't know anyone. I know what I do. I know what my business brings to the table, and I know what I offer people. I know what my agents offer people. And due to the DOJ, due to the NAR settlement, it changed how I operate. They gave me the rules, the parameters, and I get to play between the lines. Whatever the rules are the rules. I don't make them. But I'll play the game, and I guarantee you I'll win it. And if they change the rules again, I'll get between those lines, and I'll win it again. And I'll win it again, and I'll win it again. Because there's only one way they're going to beat me. They got to kill me. There's no other way you're going to beat me. This guy here, until I'm dead, I won't lose. It just won't happen. Can't happen. Never has, never will. So what I want to teach my agents is how to work within those rules and how to make money and how to build relationships and how to have a successful career. The time's coming is going to be like a depression. But you got to remember, there were people in the depression that became wealthy. Their families still have the money today. If you know how to navigate this, we got to pivot. There's going to be foreclosures. There's going to be REOs. You got to make deals with banks, lawyers, people who are handling these properties, because there's still people who are going to buy them. There's investors waiting for a crash. They're going to buy property. You got to get in between them and facilitate the deal. It's how it works, man. You don't sit there and look pretty and think people are going to knock on your door. Can you sell my home? No, it don't work like that. That's not life. So my goal moving forward, what am I doing? I'm teaching agents to become licensed. I'm teaching the public to become licensed. I'm offering them a contract to work with me under my apprenticeship and let me teach them how to succeed in this business in bad times. Because if I teach them how to succeed in this business in bad times, imagine what they're going to do in good times. Because they're going to come back eventually, right? They'll be back. But you'll make more money in down times, in bad times like this. You'll do more deals and make more money and build better relationships, stronger with people than you can in a good market because you have no competition. There's no competition. If you just take guidance of somebody who knows what they're doing and walks you through the deals, through an apprenticeship that I created. How did I create an apprenticeship? When I first got into this business, it took me 7 months to close a deal because every broker I worked with was a fool. One stupider than the next. So I had to figure it out on my own. I went to the MLS. I had to go to classes every day. I learned the classes. People were teaching me because they didn't know how to do it. They were, teaching the theories. And I took my skills as a salesman. I owned restaurants. I owned bars. I owned nightclubs. I dealt with billionaires and I dealt with homeless people. I could deal with them all. And I took everything and I learned it. And then I applied it to what I want to do. These MLSs have tools. There's hundreds of tools. I only use about 20% of them because the rest are just goofy. They're just goofy. Right? So the bottom line is getting into real estate is an option. I teach the courses to get you licensed. And then if we do a contract, you can actually work with me at my brokerage. And I can teach you the business. That's my offer to people right now. The next class I'm doing is September 2nd. And if anybody's interested in getting into the real estate business, I need good people who want to put the work in. You put the work in, I'll do the rest with you. You just got to put the work in. And that's kind of where I'm at. I just let go of a bunch of my agents because of the rules. I let go of a bunch of agents who were set in their ways and don't want to change. I'm not risking my license. I'm not risking my name. I'm not risking anything. Remember, you got to beat me. You better kill me. I'm not giving anybody a chance to risk anything I have. And that's it. I don't care what you think or what you say. My goal is to bring people in who want to get in this business and teach them the right way, mentor them. And I don't care if you're even in the business. If you're in the business and you're working with another broker and you realize, man, we're in trouble, I don't know what to do. You're thinking about quitting. A lot of people are quitting. If you're hungry and you want to learn from somebody that knows what they're doing, you just hit the golden pot at the end of the rainbow. You're looking at it. You have an opportunity in this time to pivot, relearn this business, and succeed. I've never, in 25 years, I've never been busier than I am today, right now. I've never been busier. The lender I work with, Mark is usually on the show here with me. He's not here tonight. Mark, he's busier than ever. Why? Because he delivers results. People trust him. 25 years in the business. People trust him. He has clients that know him. 25 years in the business, me. Clients call me every day. We need this. I need this. How can I help? How can you do this? People see our videos on YouTube and Facebook and ask, hey, I saw your video. I need you to help me sell my house. I understand what you said. I was on the phone with a doctor today that wants to invest in multifamily. Good conversation. Explain to me what he wants. As I find properties for him, I just got to call him. Doesn't matter what the market's doing. It don't matter if the rate's 10%, right? He wants to buy multifamily property. He has the money to do it, and he needs someone who can put the deals together. He saw videos of us online, called me and said, and realized I'm somebody that he could work with, and I can find properties for him. So that's kind of what we got. That's where we are. Agents, wake up. Get with a broker. If it's not me, get with a broker who knows what they're doing, who cares about you. Because if they don't care about you, you're going to end up without a license. You're going to make mistakes. They may make a mistake. If the broker gets banned from the MLS, guess who else is out of the MLS? You. If one of your coworkers breaks a rule, gets thrown out of the MLS, the broker gets thrown out. Guess who gets thrown out of the MLS? You. Do you want to work with brokers who have hundreds of agents? They don't even know their names. Thousands of agents. Do you want to work at brokerages that have downlines that are more like recruiting jobs than real estate? You're more worried about recruiting people in and getting money off of what they make because you don't want to work? Well, I don't want you guys anyway. So, but I'm saying, get your heads out of your asses is what you got to do. And I don't care if you like me or not. You don't pay my bills. The point I'm trying to make is get your shit together or get out of the business. You're going to do it voluntarily or it's going to happen involuntarily because you will get in trouble. It's just a matter of time. That's about all I got to say about that. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything to go in here? Comments, questions, or anything before we wrap it up for the night? Let's see. What do we think? We got anything? Yeah. All right. If anybody has any questions, reach out to me. You can email me at pure21realty@gmail.com. You can call me, numbers at the bottom of the screen scrolling by. You can call me anytime. Or if you want to learn about getting your real estate license and possibly get into the business, give me a call. We have a class starting September 2nd. I have an apprenticeship starting in October for that class. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Sorry we didn't have any pizza tonight. This is a little more of a serious topic. And wish we had some comments and questions. You know, people, what they're dealing with, or agents out there that don't know what to do. I would love to have some questions to answer. But what we're going to do is going to call it a night, guys. And I look forward to talking to you guys in the future. If you need anything, give us a yell and have a good night. It's really good to see you guys.